Well, we meet again. Alright, hello and welcome to this episode of Worth Watching Wednesdays. Today, our little bit of movie news is that the trailer for Hercules starring Dwayne Johnson just came out yesterday, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Before I get into talking about the trailer of the movie, let me talk a little bit about my opinion on the casting of Dwayne Johnson as Hercules. I really like it. I think it's something a lot different from what the other Hercules films in the past have gone with. Like if you look at the Disney animated version, he's this like super pale, sandy-haired guy, whereas Dwayne Johnson has darker skin and is just he's bigger than the guy is in the cartoon. And if you can be bigger than a superhero cartoon superhero, I think you should have a right to play Hercules. I think he's such a likable guy, and I think he's going to bring some great stuff to the role as Hercules. That was just my sort of initial reaction to Dwayne Johnson being cast as Hercules, because I like Dwayne Johnson, I like Hercules, and I'd like to see him play Hercules. So yeah. Now as for the trailer, unfortunately this movie's directed by Brett Ratner, and we all know what that means is it's probably not going to be awesome. It might be okay. And the trailer doesn't really allay too many of my fears. It looks kind of weird. I think the costumes look really good. I think Dwayne Johnson looks good as Hercules. Again, he's massive. I think the locations look good. There's some CGI that doesn't look so great, and there's just kind of the tone of the trailer and things seems off to me. I don't know. There's something about it that's not grabbing my interest. Well, first of all, the trailer takes place in, of course, ancient mythical Greece, but it has like the Inception going over it, which kind of made me go, oh, this feels like every other movie trailer that I've been seeing recently. I was hoping something would happen to set it apart since they went with such a unique casting choice for Hercules. I was hoping that this movie may actually be unique and interesting, but it just looks kind of like not great. It also seems like in the trailer and in the posters, whenever Hercules is like yelling or opening his mouth, it looks like he's like laughing or about to burst out laughing and chuckle, because I don't know if Dwayne Johnson just naturally has a happy looking face when he opens his mouth or what, but it just am I crazy, or is that what it looks like? Anywho, if you guys want to check out the trailer, you can check it out right here and let me know what you think in the comments down below. Alright, so for my movie review / recommendation of the week, I'm going to recommend something kind of out of left field, and that is Safety Last starring Harold Lloyd. Now this is a really old silent film that came out in 1923. I just saw it relatively recently, a couple months ago. And I'm not a silent film fan. I'm really not even an old movie fan. Like anything post or pre-1950 is usually something I don't enjoy as much as more modern films. It's just my taste, just my style, but I really loved Safety Last. I went into it not expecting anything at all. In fact, I went into it really skeptical and thinking it was overhyped, because on IMDb it has a rating of I think like 8.3, and I was like, this movie came out in 1923 and there's no dialogue. There's no way that this movie deserves an 8.3. Sometimes in these silent films they have a tendency of, overacting, because that's what they had to do to convey a message since there was no dialogue. And so all of their expressions are over the top and things. And I'm not a huge silent film fan, but Safety Last starring Harold Lloyd is magnificent. The film follows this guy who's trying to have, as a publicity stunt, have someone climb up the outside of a skyscraper. And due to some circumstance changes, he has to do it himself. And that guy is, of course, played by Harold Lloyd. And you know the really classic picture you see of the guy like hanging off a clock on a tower? That's from this movie. The scene of him climbing up the building is the reason I'm recommending this movie, because it is possibly the most intense, nerve-wracking heights scene that I've seen in any movie ever. Because here's the reason why. In movies these days, if you see someone standing on the edge of a ledge looking down, it's like, okay, they're either on a lot of wires, or most likely it's green screen and the whole, everything below them is CGI. Things like that, or that there's a stunt double. Harold Lloyd did his own climbing for this movie. And that it was made so long ago that blue screen was not an option, green screen was not an option, and he probably wasn't all that safe on the outside of the building. And the way it's shot just puts you right there, and you feel like you are hanging off the wall of this building. It's so intense, and that's something that I never say, again, about movies that are like pre-1950, because a lot of the time, you're not surprised by things that happen in the movie, because the scenes you can tell when they cut to an angle where it's like, okay, now they're setting up for something to happen, because they had less capability back then with the way they could move cameras and things like that. But this, again, it's a really intense, frightening, nerve-wracking scene. You get butterflies in your stomach just watching it, and your hands get sweaty, and you're just like, oh my gosh. And it's really entertaining, and the movie's really funny as well, and has some great slapstick comedy in there. If you're a fan at all of physical comedy, you will love Safety Last. I really enjoyed it. I would rate it probably a 7.5, 8 out of 10. You should definitely go check it out. It's a great film. Alright, thanks for watching this episode of Worth Watching Wednesdays. Like the video if you liked it, comment down below on your favorite silent film of all time, and subscribe if you want to see more. Bye.